Okay, what was that? How did they do that? Are you kidding? This is exactly it. We say this all the time when the Vancouver Canucks are good, when they actually show up. They show up and they do well. Now, I know they came in here playing a Colorado team that you could very well debate had some problems of their own. It's not every night you see the Colorado Avalanche go like 1 for 5 on the power play and only score 1 goal at home. This team has only lost 8 games in their last 48 home games now. And so the Vancouver Canucks being the most recent one against a team that has MacKinnon and Kadri and Rantanen, and you have Cale Makar. Sure, there's no Landeskog, but still you saw the lethality, the movement, the pace that this Colorado team plays with. I feel like Colorado, oddly enough, was the better team by just a tad. But that's not to discredit the fact that the Vancouver Canucks hung in there and the Vancouver Canucks won. Jaroslav Halak makes his first start in over a month, and the guy plays out of his mind. My goodness, you don't go out there and watch the pre-game show, you watch Dan Murphy, you watch Sat Shaw, you talk about all the people heading into this game just highlighting how bad Jaroslav Halak has been. What happened in Halak's recent 2 starts? He let up 7 goals. Okay, no, he let in like 4 or 5 in the first periods of both of those games against inferior teams. This guy has been absolutely down in the dumps when it comes to the way the fans have been treating him, and the way the media has gone out there and portrayed these storylines. Apparently, he was willing to waive earlier on during the trade deadline, but guess what? Nobody wanted him. Not even Edmonton or Toronto, any of the other teams that needed goaltenders. Nobody wanted Halak. That's why he stayed in Vancouver. That's why he's still here. But Jaroslav Halak just put up a .970 save percentage on 33 shots against the Colorado Avalanche in Ball Arena. My goodness, I can't believe I just said that. Thatcher Demko is going to be playing tomorrow against Minnesota, so there you go. That's the entire plan with the back-to-back. But, like, I don't know what it is, but, like, on the radio, on Sportsnet 650, on a few other podcasts that highlight the Canucks, some people were bringing up the idea that maybe in the game against the Islanders, the game against the Devils, where Jaro Halak was absolutely terrible in the first periods of both of those games, you could just feel the Vancouver Canucks were not really playing for their goaltender in the same way they would play for Demko. Sure, Demko would make the big saves when the team would give up high-quality chances in front, because they do that frequently, but even though Halak wasn't great in those games, it's not like the Canucks defense were doing him any favors. In this one, not only did the Canucks defense actually step up and compete properly with the Colorado Avalanche, but Halak made some very good, very key saves when the timing called for it. In fact, he only let in 1 shot, and the 1 shot he let in was off of a rebound where he was already down and out. It's not really his fault. So let's go over this game right here. Vancouver wins 3-1 against Colorado. I think it was Thomas Trance on Twitter who called this a passionless effort from the Avalanche, and I don't want to make it seem like the Avalanche played, their best game ever. They certainly did have a few fumbles here and there. You don't want to go 1 for 5 on the power play against Vancouver, who is like the worst power play team in the National Hockey League, but there were still so many shifts, so many moments in this game where you could just see Nathan MacKinnon turning up the bus. He just started galloping down the ice like he does, shifting left and right, spinning around to get guys off his back, sending it over to Cale Makar, and watching Makar do similar things in the offensive zone. I saw a lot of Avalanche fans complaining about this game, not because of, the power plays and everything, but complaining about their own team and how they weren't able to get more than 1 past Jaroslav Halak, who is a backup, who is coming off of a string of very terrible starts, and whose overall morale should be, in theory, down in the dumps, based off of how the media has been treating him, how the fans' response is to Halak stepping into the game, and everything, right? So the fact that the Colorado Avalanche could not buy one by him blows my mind. Nate, I know you're a gamer and all this, and I'm just thinking maybe out loud as far as in your shoes right now. It's like, all right, we've done all the thinking we can do. We've done all the game planning we can do. Maybe, just screw it, and we'll just go in next year. Okay, yeah, enough memeing aside. The Vancouver Canucks got themselves a few really good opportunities on Darcy Kuemper as well. Connor Garland stood out to me as to having a few very, prime quality opportunities where he was either one-on-one with the goalie or one-on-one with an open cage. He just missed the net, or it came back into the goalie for a really quick save attempt a few times. Then you had yourselves, of course, Elias Pettersson, who had a shorthanded breakaway towards the end there, where he tries to go through the legs. That one doesn't go by. But the goals in this one were all scored towards the end of the game. It was all third period scoring because the first two were filled with nothing. And oddly enough, after that first period concluded, where it was 0-0, as we just said, I was kind of thinking to myself, the Colorado Avalanche play with so much pace, and this game was no different. The fact that the Vancouver Canucks actually went out there and they matched that pace, sure, I get that the money puck deserved to win-o-meter said that Colorado should have won this game 70% of the time, but Vancouver was able to match that energy, which is not a trend we have seen often for this team, especially at the start of games. So the fact that they came out here with Jaroslav Halak in net against the best team in the Pacific, arguably the best team in the NHL, and they put up a performance like that in the first 20 minutes alone, that to me, I was like, okay, yeah, no, that was good. Good for them. Good for the morale. Good for, just being able to say that you're remaining competitive and still actually doing your thing here in the National Hockey League. The second period, we saw ourselves even more of that swagger coming through. Halak still had to step up big. The Canucks had so many penalties in this one. I don't usually ever like to call out the refs and critique their performances because, it's not really accomplishing anything. We all kind of know that the refereeing sucks in the National Hockey League. But this time, 5 power plays for the Colorado Avalanche, 1 for the Vancouver Canucks, and the 1 power play they get isn't even a full one. It's cut off because there's a 4-on-4 stint afterwards. And so Colorado got all these chances. They only scored on one of them. That was the Nazem Kadri shot. But the Vancouver Canucks were just able to hang in there. And that's a good thing. So going over onto the third period and talking about the goals that were actually scored, it's Elias Pettersson who steals the puck on the Colorado half-boards. He centers it right over to the slot for Brock Boeser, who streaks in, he shoots it, and he scores it. It's a vintage Brock Boeser goal where he just grips it and rips it. We haven't seen too many of those, man. I'd been saying it in previous videos. We cannot just have a tap-in goal in the power play every 3 or 4 games from Brock. He needs to start sniping it consistently because this stint of 17 games remaining is going to determine whether or not he stays, goes, re-signs for a cheap cap hit, re-signs for an overpaid cap hit, or gets traded for somebody else. There is a deadline here for Brock, and things like these, consistency where he's able to snipe goals left and right, that's what we need to see if the Vancouver Canucks are going to try to decide, okay, we got to keep this guy. We got to sign him to a qualifying offer, $7.5 million, whatever. We got to sign him to a contract that is justifiable. Then you had yourselves, 2 minutes later, JT Miller, who comes in with a very strange goal. It's Connor Garland, who at the half boards near the red line, half boards? No, the boards near the red line, he chips it by, leads to a 2-on-1 with Tanner Pearson. Pearson with the low shot. The rebound is right there. Darcy Kuemper can't get it, and JT Miller, fighting off the check of Nathan MacKinnon, is able to put it into the open cage on his backhand with relatively no resistance. That's JT Miller's 26th goal on the season. He is close to tying his career high of 27 goals, which he accomplished in the Vancouver Canucks first season, or in his first season with the Vancouver Canucks, excuse me. Then, of course, you have yourself some more Colorado power plays. I'm sorry, Luke Shen, you can't be taking those tripping penalties, but at the same time, there were a lot of calls that I feel like the Canucks could have gotten that they did not. Colorado got away with a few of them here, but eventually it's a shot from Nathan MacKinnon. It gets tipped on by Nazem Kadri, and it's rebounded in. He gets the shot in tight over the pads of Jaroslav Halak. It's a good goal right there. 2-1. Eventually, the Avalanche try playing catch-up. You still have some very good Jaroslav Halak saves that are made throughout the third period, and once the empty net comes and goes, it's Tanner Pearson who finds Miller. He throws it over for Horvat, who fights his way down the boards right by the check of Cale Makar, and he puts it into the open cage. JT Miller gets an assist on this one, so that's his 51st assist on the year. JT Miller is at 77 points right now. He is on pace for 98 points over the span of 80 games. JT Miller, in a game where the Vancouver Canucks barely edged out a win, a game that was so tight, so intricate with the details and played with so much pace, was able to go out there and get 2 points to boost his point production up to an 82-game sample, averaging out around 100 total points. My gosh. JT Miller is absolutely phenomenal, dude. If there is a trade in the offseason, please the return has to be huge. You can't be going out there getting Bonino, Spiza, and firsts for this guy, because I think this player sort of deserves a lot more than that. But either way, Colorado played a very good game. I do think that they were the better team in this one. I do think the control they had in the offensive zone, the sustained pressure, it was good. Vancouver matched it. It's not like they got outshot by like 30 shots again and they barely won. No, they were there competing, actually working hard, and it worked for a while. Brad Richardson made his debut. There were a few plays towards the end of the third period where I really was uncomfortable with the decisions he made, but still, overall, I do think that Richardson played a fine game alongside Alamico and Highmore. You had Travis Dermott, who actually looked pretty good as well. And by pretty good, I mean like he was not noticeable, which is a good thing in my opinion. So, Canucks, ultimately, we do have ourselves some good stuff to look forward to. There is a game tomorrow, so we'll be covering that here on the channel as well. But let me know in the comments all your thoughts about today's game against the Colorado Avalanche. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.